Hey, rich friends. It is your girl, I am Sheila Michelle, for another very special edition of the I am Sheila Michelle podcast. As you know, we are honoring my son, Damon Danye Dix Jr., affectionately known as DJ, who will forever be in our hearts today. He was murdered 7 years ago today around 3 p.m. in Columbus, Georgia, at a park of all things. And so I decided to dedicate today's podcast to talking to men, as it is also Father's Day weekend. You know, our males and our men are so vital and so important, to our lives. And so I'm excited to get into this conversation with Dr. Michael. You only live once, live it. And so tune in. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome.
Let's go. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, too. Last time I saw you, I think we were surrounded by cameras, too, right?
It's a thing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Dr. Michael, let me tell you, I really appreciate you being here.
Well, I appreciate the invite. This is fantastic. I love sitting here and talking about all the good things. So
yes. And so I want to share some of that good conversation where I call my rich friends. That's my community of followers and supporters. The I Am Sheila Michelle podcast is all about, living out your life's purpose, overcoming challenges, not just tragedies. Everybody is not out here with with the type of tragedy that my family has experienced, but it's really about how do you overcome certain things in life? How do you keep your balance? How do you move forward? How do you do that thing? Because I really feel that without tapping into your life's purpose, like, you're not living. So I love this slogan or tagline that you have on your website, which, by the way, is www.drmichael, MICHEL.health. I love the "you only live once, live it." Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so you only live once, so live it. Make those moments count, right? So much of what you just said resonates with why I became a chiropractor, what I'm doing with my life, helping people find that purpose. And like you use the term alignment, which is exactly what we do. And it's not just alignment of the body, but it's also the mind too, right?
Nice.
So finding that purpose, a lot of that is finding your identity, okay? And of course, we're all telling ourselves these stories. They're running through our mind all the time, things that are stuck in your head about what someone has said about us in the past, how we were raised. There's all these different things that come into our life that can keep us misaligned and off direction. So this, one of the things that we start with talking with people about is their mindset, their purpose, and that they are in alignment with their identity of who they are, period. Because otherwise you're going to be ping-ponging through your life and stress and trouble and all these different things. Well, yes, we align the body, but it starts right there with the mind and that purpose, because we all, I believe, have one. I believe, right?
Right.
I mean, well, not everybody believes that.
Right,
And it's something that you have to tackle, that what your belief structure is, and if you have a faith, what that is. Otherwise, life can be a little bit, you can get lost in all of the hoopla around.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm trying to mind my posture while you're here, so that's why you keep saying
I'm trying to mind my own posture. Don't sit like this, guy.
So along those lines, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm a girl from College Park Projects right here, in south of Atlanta. I was a ward of the state, not from birth, but I was a ward of the state, for a long period in my life. I know my parents. I've lived with both of my parents, actually, in different stages. They were 14 and 16 when they conceived me. They weren't together, but I've lived with them individually. I have bonus parents. My journey hasn't been an easy one. I don't feel sorry for myself, but the reason where I'm going with this is, what would you say to, like, the me, right? The person who, they don't always know how to get their minds together. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So I mean,
what would
it
you
starts
say?
with I think it's interesting that we're having this conversation because my workout group of guys, we met up this morning, worked out at 6 a.m. They're all like kind of power players out there, and really, really strong people. And we're having this conversation, and this verse came up, and it's a Bible verse, of course. It's 1 Timothy 6:6, which is, "But godliness with contentment is great gain," and being able to be content with who you are, where you are, is something that it's a journey that we all have to find as individual to everybody because everybody has a different purpose. And it's the same thing as a doctor where your body, all of our bodies function differently biochemically. So like you could take a shot of mercury and it could have a totally different effect than if I take it,
Yeah.
So that's that piece of contentment. When I think of that, I think of this story, where you've got these two guys, Paul and Silas, they're sitting in jail ready to, they don't know what's coming, ready to be executed. But they're joyful in the moment.
Okay.
Anything and everything can be taken away from you. You can lose family members, you can lose your money, you can lose everything. And people through history all over the place have lost everything and have somehow managed to still stay happy and content because their relationship isn't with those things around them. Some people have to learn the hard way that, we're all here with a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's our purpose. It's our race.
Ooh, you're going to make me cry. Preach. Where the collection plate at, Rich Friends? Let's give him some coins.
Anyway, yeah, so I would say that finding that race, that path for you, the beauty of that is that those are the things that you are naturally going to want to gravitate towards and things that you enjoy, Your purpose is, I believe, is what I grew up as a kid, and my journey's been all over the place. I've had to start over 5 times. I've lost, a lot too. But so I learned, and what has served me believing is that your purpose is to glorify the Creator.
Yes.
And enjoy that creation, right?
Yes.
And so by doing that, you enjoy that creation by doing what you love. It's like the most beautiful message of all, right? And so what I do is I help people basically fulfill that purpose to the best of their ability by being in alignment and being able to be interfered with in the communication between them and creation and the Creator. And those interferences come in the form of 3 things, really: thoughts, toxins, and traumas. Physical traumas, emotional traumas.
Gotcha.
These are things that I want to say the word interfere again, but I don't.
No.
That's the word that I'm looking for. I was trying to find some smart doctory word that you guys have to
no,
look
just
up.
keep it.
But
we
so
keep
basically,
it real.
the body's always trying to heal at 100%.
Ooh.
Always. Whether you like it or not,
Body's
it's going to
always
find a way. So life, like, you look at a fish or a plant or whatever, the breath of life in that organism is always trying to heal at 100%. It is guided by an innate intelligence put into it that is always trying to function. And what will happen is that disease processes form when there's an interference to that. Okay?
Oh, I want to run 10 miles. That makes me want to run 10 miles. No, because
I've been trying to find time to run 10 miles.
No, but you just said so much. So what I just took from that was, I took a few different things, but number one is, if you are someone who may not have been born into the best circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, how do I even know that I'm supposed to have a good life? How do I even know that I actually have a purpose? That, how do I know God created me, uniquely created me, and has uniquely qualified me to do certain things in the earth on His behalf, right? And it's going to make me joyful, and it's going to also contribute to a better world. Or you might be the person who had the perfect life, and then something traumatic happened. What I hear you really saying is we need to learn how to sit in the moment and find joy, right? Because God said, Well, the word says, "This is the day that the Lord hath made. Rejoice and be glad in it." Right?
Yeah, we got to learn to sit and listen.
So sit, listen, be joyful, look around. If you don't got nothing else, and this is something that I actually do because of just the, I guess, inherent emotional trauma that I had. When I start to feel a type of way, I'll just like, thank you God for my eyes, thank you God for my ears, thank you God, and like just starting to thank God for like that what we call basic stuff. Then I kind of walk and talk my way back to like not being in a bad mood or feeling insecure or feeling mad or angry. So that was one thing I got from you. The next thing that I got from you was that the toxic, the trauma, and the thoughts, right? So I think, so our thoughts are so important and we have so much control over them, more control than we want to claim.
Yeah.
And then like just being aware of toxins, what is toxic? Is it people? Is it food? Is it,
It's all those things. So
yeah.
Go. You want me to go ahead and answer? Go roll with it. Okay, I'll take it. So basically, structure determines function. It's the basis of all chemistry and physics, okay? And so when we talk about like something like thoughts or traumas, okay, you have to keep in mind that the structure molecularly of your body, those things have functions, but also as you graduate higher and higher into different systems, they all still have different, more complicated functions. So for instance, as a chiropractor, say you're just going to go to your average run-of-the-mill chiropractor because you have back pain. Well, guess what? Sometimes some people bend over to pick up a pencil or a pen, they throw their back out, and guess what? Now they're all focused, all their thoughts are focused on that one problem, that thing. Their structure is now compromised. But so from a chiropractic standpoint, a lot of people don't realize that it takes 80% of pressure, like on a nerve root, before you're going to feel pain from it. But that 10, 20, 30, up to 79% of pressure, it's still not functioning or communicating properly. And so in chiropractic school, I had to dissect out probably about 40 different bodies. And each one you could see where there was a misalignment to pressure on a nerve that was atrophied or shrunken down, basically hadn't been functioning right for a long period of time, to a diseased organ, boom, cause of death, right? You see that enough times and you realize when you're walking around and you see people's alignments and where the pressure is, you do this enough time, you can see, well, that person has this problem, this person has that problem, this person has that problem. This is the structural side of things, but the thought patterns can actually cause those misalignments too, and that gets a little bit more of a complicated conversation, but toxins as well. So like if toxins get stuck in a part of the body, it will cause an alignment problem where the body just simply can't get it back on its own without correcting it.
Right.
And so this is where our field, it gets a lot more complicated than just popping bones, because we're also talking about those other aspects where we deal with nutrition, actual toxins. And yes, you're talking about toxic relationships, but also toxins in the food and the water and all those different things as well, which gum up and cause interference to normal function, which then hurts your purpose,
Show us the way. Where is the bio link? What do we need to buy? Because right now, I mean, I'm feeling like I need a whole new me. Like I like the structure determines function. Like think about that, rich friends. Think about the structure of your life. Like, what are you doing? Are you getting up early enough? Are you going to bed early enough? Are you drinking enough water?
Absolutely.
Is your desk organized? Like, 100%. Is your computer? So like, it's just amazing how the physical
it's so interrelated with all of it. It's so
interrelated. And the third thing that I got from your initial, sharing with us about, your tagline is did you say uninterference? Did I hear you say uninterference?
Well, did I say interference? Either way, if I did, you can use it that way, like uninterfered.
Well, the reason I think about people, so social media, colloquialisms, whatever, is like unbothered. I like the uninterfered with. How about I'm uninterfered with? Like I'm not, because I like that because it's like I'm guarding what interferes with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So if we want to talk about like interference and being uninterfered
Yeah.
with, it's I met a very interesting person recently who's a film director, and we were talking about relationships and stuff. In my past, I've always had my relationships first, and they had always interfered with what I felt or thought that I should be doing. So I've been on all these different life paths and accomplished all these different things in life, but maybe like learning lessons that I need to know, but maybe not on the right purpose or track for me. When I stopped and just let everything go and let faith take me to where it would take me, it was just like a floodgate of, here's this thing, just go, to the point where I find myself in the room with some of the most powerful, renowned people out there, like basically on the planet at this point. And
Well,
it's,
you're powerful and
wanna,
renowned. Wait a minute, hold on, stop. You're powerful and renowned.
Well, thank you.
Maybe they found themselves
I don't
in
look
the room
at it
with
that
you.
way. It's not.
But maybe they found themselves in the room with you. Let's go. This is the I Am Sheila Michelle podcast.
Well, okay,
That's how we go.
so that's an interesting thing, because I don't do this stuff for me. I do this stuff because it's a purpose and a service thing, where I want other people to be able to experience the joy that I've been able to experience, even in dark times, because all of our purpose, really, that we were talking about earlier, glorify God, enjoy that creation. That's really worshiping it, what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so we worship in doing all the little things and big things, but it all comes down to, like, when you have your mindset on serving other people and you're not like, what can I get from this person? Or then all of a sudden doors start opening all over the place. And this is how it's always kind of been. I've had this interference of relationships through the years and whatnot. But one life lesson that I've learned through the years is that if you are really just gonna go with the flow and try to fulfill your purpose and that passion, and people feel that and they know that you're out there to live and to be and to do and to give and to serve, then why not have the door open? And that's what happens.
I love that. I love that.
So yeah, this is part of the first essential, really, maximizing your mind, your thought process, and your purpose is, where does that go? It's going to look different for everybody, like we just said. But I don't know how deep or where to go with my journey, because it's so all over the place, which is from the outside.
Well, let the spirit move you as it has been. So you only live once, live it. And quick recap, Dr. Michael just gave us some tips on how to live it, right? So we learn how to be joyful in the moment, right? We, embrace, acknowledge, identify, if we need to, our purpose, right? How we can serve and give and glorify our Creator, based on whatever your beliefs are. I love that. Keeping alignment. What is it? What did we say? Uninterfered with, right? These are ways that you can live, because you only gonna live once, right?
That's right. Right on the money.
Well, I'm looking at this picture on here, Dr. Michael. I'm just,
Well, keep in mind that website that's up there right now, folks, is basically a placeholder, temporary for. We got a lot of projects going on, and matter of fact, after I leave here, I'm going to meet up with a friend of mine that owns a studio, and we're shooting a bunch of content for this wellness program. So what you'll find on there when we finish this stuff all up is an actual wellness program. It's a 6-month program that you can take a look at that tackles the basics and then gets into the depth of all of those essentials that we've kind of been talking about. But then also there's products that I use that I would recommend, based off of different budgets or whatever. Just have some product recommendations. And then, of course, we have a brick and mortar practice in Dunwoody here. and looking at opening up another location. And then in Hawaii, we have like a water fasting retreat.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, if you really need to get like serious, get to the nitty gritty, you have the resources to be able to get out there and do it. That is sort of the end all be all reset for your life in all the different ways, for your health, for your mindset. And you can really do some massive changes. And that's the quickest way
to do it. Yeah.
The most effective way. Of course, not everybody can do that. So we're trying to help as many people as we can in whatever ways that we can through this process.
Through this program. Well, I want to talk about this program, excuse me, because one of the things, last year I dropped a book called Becoming Coachable. Mm-hmm. And I dropped the book Becoming Coachable because I saw people in the social selling space who were disgruntled because, you know, they would buy products from coaches, products or services, and they weren't getting the transformation or the result. Mm-hmm. And I wanted people to pause and reflect on their level of accountability and ownership for what they actually wanted, like coach aside. And so as I'm looking at this water fast program that's in beautiful Hawaii, I'm thinking, so this would tell us who this would be for.
Well, technically, this would be for anybody that wants to get to the pinnacle of their health. Now, if you've got a serious disease process, like a cancer that you're dealing with, an autoimmune condition, we handle all of that stuff. That's really like, if we want to go down the depths of talking about that, we have to get pretty specific. Well, we can save that for another time because otherwise we're going to be here forever. But then also people that are really just, they want to be at the top of their game. And so with a water fast, in essence, medically, it starts 3 days after you've had nothing but water. And then you basically go into a hyper state of healing because granted, and it's different for everybody depending upon how long it takes for your guts to empty out, right? But it's like everything from your mouth to the exit hole, right, gets a chance to finally shut down, which it never normally does for us, you know, because we're always eating.
Turn off the lights.
Yeah, well, so if you're doing that every day, there's stuff in there every day. Your body's actually fighting a battle constantly. It's taking damage. And when you let that whole system empty out, well, you start creating new metabolic pathways to deal with things, and actually it causes a massive change in your brain function, your vision, your hearing, your taste buds, your skin, everything. Your body gets rid of all of the junk, which we unfortunately are made up of a lot of junk right now because we're eating a lot of junk, and you almost you reach a state where you almost feel like a superhuman, by comparison of how we generally feel on a day-to-day here, at least certainly for me. But so it's not like necessarily about weight loss and whatnot, although that you do have a massive effect there. But it's a total health reset. I mean, the cells that we have in our bodies are all made up of what we eat. And so just as an example, like, so saturated fats, the phospholipid bilayer of a cell is all made of cholesterols, right? If you're not getting the right fats, well, then the cell itself can't respirate or breathe properly because the structure of it, instead of having these nice porous holes where all this stuff can come in and out, it's like doesn't have as many. So your cells are literally on a cellular level, like suffocating. And you feel that. You don't feel as you're living in a different shade of gray than you could be living. And so this is just one of the many aspects to understand the importance of, you know, the nutrition side of what you put in your body, because you literally are what you eat, and you're going to feel like what you eat. So yes, there's another deep rabbit hole to go down.
So what would be that investment for someone? So if there's a rich friend out there who says, you know what, that really sounds like something that I need. This was for me. What type of investment would they need to make?
Well, that actually is something that we are figuring out now we had our first kind of group come through recently. It was like $6,000 to do it, which was kind of like an intro
Okay.
rate type of thing.
6 grand.
Yeah, and this is a 21-day program. So you're talking about like an intro time period, a fast, and then like breaking the fast, which is incredibly important.
Yeah.
Because if you do a water fast, and which a lot of people try to do at home, by the way, and then they break it eating junk, well, all of a sudden now you've made your body starving, needing to create these new cells, and then you create them with junk, and then you wind up with the horrible opposite effect of what you're after.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole process is something that we manage for you. And of course, you know, you're in Hawaii. There's 26 waterfalls on the property. It's like, you know, you're in the spot where you're getting the sunlight and all the water, you know, everything's grown there on the property. It's all clean. It's like, it would be the best way to go to
To
reach
do that, right. So does the investment include, obviously I'm sure you got to grab your own flight. Does it include your accommodations, or is it you do your flight, your accommodations, and the 6K?
That's the accommodations and the program.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't include the flight for
Sure.
that. I mean, now that price is like the intro thing. It's gonna be up from there.
Okay.
With demand.
So that was for what y'all just did. So y'all haven't. You're now in the lab, you know, looking at the results and thinking about how you need to, you know, what program changes you might need to make.
Yeah,
and
well,
what the investment
really,
should be.
a lot of it, what it's just amounted to is I only have so much time.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we went out and kind of got the program ready, and then I've come back and we're going to do the build out of the content and stuff. But since I've been back from this last trip and that first run through, it's been really, really, really busy with a lot of projects going on. So I was just talking with them last night, actually, making our, you know, getting our steps forward. If it's something that you're interested in, you just reach out to me.
Okay.
And I think we're shooting to plan another one in August.
Okay.
And then the way that that's functioning, we might do a couple back to back. We might do one every 6 weeks. Gotcha. You know, so
still deciding.
And that's where that is.
Yeah. And so in that book, Becoming Coachable, for example, I would talk about, you know, getting right to it, which is what I would say to someone who might be ready to invest 6K. But for those who may not have that investment, or who might be a little hesitant about the full commitment of the fast, because I know that your programming is comprehensive. You address finances, you address physical health. You know, you have a very comprehensive health program. So what would be another service or product that they could lean on from Dr. Michael if they're not ready to go off to Hawaii?
So the most bang for your buck product situation that I found out, there's a company called ID Life, which covers all the bases. You can go to, if you go to my Instagram, you can find a link to it there, or drmichael.idlife.com.
Okay.
And there's
spell D-R-M-I-C-H-E-L.
M-I-C-H-A-E-L.
D-R-M-I-C-H-A-E-L.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. That's drpendergrass.idlife.com. I've got so many balls here.
But
screen. So if you go there, there's you can take a free assessment.
Okay.
And what it will do, it'll ask you everything from, of course, your sex, your age, the time of year, your activity level, if you have any disease conditions, if you're taking any medications, because they'll deplete different micronutrients. It was a program that actually a couple billionaires created for the pharmaceutical industry for nutraceuticals, and then it was acquired by some people that I've come across through the years.
Yeah.
In any case, it's the best thing that I've found out there that will give you individualized nutrition, and it'll spit out some results for you. And it'll be like, well, here's your baseline things that you should take.
Okay.
And it'll have attached to each one a study, all of the research studies on why you should take that.
Okay.
And then beyond the baseline, and these are things that it's like $40 a month. You can have all of your nutrition stuff handled But then there's like, well, if you want the extras, then
You add on.
then you add on. But
So if I were someone looking for a nutritionist, would this program make sense for
this
me?
would be it's the best starting point that I know to cover the bases, to make it simple for people. Where, I mean, there's going to be a lot of you folks out there that they want to spend the time to sit and research and go and figure out the very best product for this very best thing. Unfortunately, there's not one company that has the very best of everything that I've been able to find.
Okay.
And so this is the catch-all, where you're getting your D3s and your zinc and magnesium and all the different things that people are deficient in. And it all comes in a little chronobiologically oriented packet. In other words, some stuff it's better to take at breakfast, and some stuff is better to take in the evening. These are things that, unless you research and how would you know? Like, when is the best time of day to take a B vitamin, or or a D or something? And who wants to? Because I don't want to go to the store and have to pick out the research on this company, that company, and take each individual bottle and put it. And it's just so time consuming, so much of a pain. So this simplifies it all. And it basically, it's something that I've used for years. And I've been out to their facilities in Dallas and kind of like vetted the company and talked to the CEO and whatnot. So there's no products that I'll be recommending on there that I haven't done that with. So.
I love that. So in other words, rich friends, since we only live once, and I believe that's true, it sounds like we got a couple of options that we didn't know about before to help us live our healthiest or healthier lives. We got $6K, not bad, but we also got $40 a month.
Actually, to be honest, $6K is like, I know some other docs that charge like $20K for the same thing. That was for like our experimental rate.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
we might do another round. That was like for the friends and family rate.
Okay.
but no, because that's a really intensive type of thing, and the value is so much more. I mean, yes, I know $6,000 for different people. Some people it's a lot more than others. That's why it's one of those things that is not everybody can do it, but the value of it is like a total life reset. You're going to add tons of time onto your life by going through a process like that. And it's not a program that we're like shy about sharing with people, but to do that on your own is dangerous and hard.
Well, I think that's important that you mentioned that. I used to do the what do they call it? The lemonade diet. I used to do it. I can't do it anymore. Where you basically have the cayenne pepper. And,
I know all that.
And your body. What I have found is that your body just responds differently. As you get older, right? Mm-hmm. So like apple cider vinegar, I used to take it all the time. Can't do it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Like you officially said on this podcast, people do not need to be doing the water fast on their own, because people do the water fast on their own. Yeah,
and like I said, it can be more harmful than good if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So that's something, of course, that I'm not going to say, hey, go and do this. There are instructions for if you wanted to try to do it on your own. I have not done a very good job of doing it on my own when I've tried to do it. I have been successful before, but I, even as a doctor, I didn't know the specifics of the ins and outs of why, how you're supposed to break it, or the discipline, because life gets really busy here. Like there's things that come up, there's things you have to go do.
Absolutely.
And so you have to we separate from all of that and just go into, okay, who am I? What am I doing here? And what's the best way that I can do it? And this is like the fast track to getting there, to making your life more meaningful. And that's a process for everybody, like we were talking about earlier. So
I love that. Well, before you get out of here, I just got a couple of more questions, because our health is so important, and that's not being cliche. Like, no, for real, our health is like so important, and I don't think we realize that until
you lose it.
Right.
And then that's the only thing that you care about.
Until you lose it. Mm-hmm. And so from these pictures on this website, We get that, you might have had another life before you became a doctor. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, Lord, okay. Um, well, yeah, a little bit or a lot. Like,
You can give us a
so
little
yeah,
bit. It's
so
fine.
this is all right. So I mean, I grew up kind of homeschooled, and um, we did a lot of mission work stuff. So like we
Okay.
went over to Romania after Ceausescu's reign fell, and we built an orphanage
Oh,
over
wow.
3 years. Spent time there, all over the world. We were pretty much able to see what was going on outside of the bubble that we live in here of comfort, which is nice to be able to appreciate. And so part of my life purpose early on was wanting to share that with people. It was like heartbreaking to go into these places where people were way, like they were horribly off, but they were way happier than coming back here than people that are getting upset about the teeny tiny little things going on. And so on my journey of figuring out who am I and how can I best get that through to people and the how, out of high school, I moved to Manhattan and then Europe and LA and Chicago, and I was traveling around as a model, and then doing some acting and stuff. And I promised my mom that I'd only do it for 1 year, so I went back to school. And then 9/11 happened, everything. I wound up joining the Marine Corps as an enlisted Marine, and wound up commissioning as an officer. We could be talking about my history all day, but so in and out through that time frame between 2000 and now, I've been a Marine Corps Mustang. I've had my own multinational, multi-million dollar company in between that and contracting with special operations consulting in the Middle East before chiropractic school. And then, of course, in and out of the film industry through all this. And so I've seen behind a lot of different curtains, and political curtains, the geopolitical
Yeah.
actually curtains, the film industry, the business world, the healthcare world,
Yeah.
and I've just gained a wealth of knowledge just by virtue of trying to be the best that I can, doing
Yeah.
all this stuff that I feel like I need to share in some form or fashion. And so this is where I'm going with this wellness program, is
Yeah.
trying to get people a lot of these truths that are harder to come by, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. If you Google, what can I do for a headache? You're going to come up with a lot of information,
Yeah.
a lot of different
Absolutely.
conflicting things. It can be very confusing.
Out of all of that, because that is a very colorful past. I mean, amazing, right? So
Well,
like,
I skipped over quite a few things, but yeah, those are the gist of things on paper that I've been like, here.
what has been most, if you can identify, because all of it sounds deep. Do you know what I mean? All of
Mm-hmm.
it sounds very deep and purposeful and meaningful and impactful on you, which has in turn um, positioned and directed you to be meaningful and impactful in the community at large. So, what if you could pick maybe one thing that you think has had the most impression on you? What?
Faith.
Okay.
Yeah, there were some dark moments. I remember I was in
Oh,
Baghdad, and I had bankrupted my company and lost changed my custody agreement with my daughter, so I kind of lost custody of her, and then I went through a breakup, and I was working 14 hours a day, and I was like, this sucks. It's like
right.
in a sandstorm, and it was 125 degrees, and I was like, this is just like
Yeah.
everything sucks. And really what it amounted to is, well, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Why, like, and how do you find joy in those moments when you've lost like
Yeah.
that much? And I mean, of course, through the years, I lost a lot. Matter of fact, I lost my dad and my brother back to back in 2020, 2021,
Sorry to hear that.
amongst some other things as well. And anyway, so when you find yourself in a position where you don't have anything. You got to dig deep. What is your motivation? Why are you here? Why are we here?
Yeah.
Well, that to me amounts with to having a faith.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And we can see that as well. Um, Obviously you're a risk taker. Obviously, because you try different things. So how do you like measure out? Like, is it reward over risk? Is it, let's roll the dice and see what happens? Like, what's your method to kind of determining projects, people, things, ideas that you want to invest
You
in?
only have one life, so you
Live,
go
man, live
live it.
it.
Get in there and do it. What's the
Get
worst
do
going to
it.
happen? You're going to
Yeah.
fail, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I say that, and then I'm thinking back to the time I tried to jump off a ski lift and landed on my back on an ice mogul, and thought I was dead. I mean, you're talking about taking risks. I've taken a lot of risks through the years, physically, financially, across the board. So I think that had I not been a risk taker, I wouldn't know what not to do, for one, or what my
Yeah.
limitations are. Because how do you know what your limitations are unless you test them?
Let's
How do you test
go.
them without
Yes.
taking a risk? So if you're not taking a risk, then maybe you might want to just be content with the fact that you didn't go there,
Yeah.
And this is what happens with people, I think, that become discontent in their station in life, is they didn't step up. And so there's a certain amount of shame, fear, guilt associated with that, which is a very low vibe way to be.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you don't take the risk and you don't make the jump, well, that's a decision that you made. You guys have to be okay with the consequences before you make that. As long as you have that understanding,
Yeah.
then you're not dealing with regrets.
Right.
What if I didn't? What if I did?
Yes.
And so for the most part, I'm going to take that jump.
Yeah. I love it because you only got one life.
Yeah, and I've seen okay, about where am I going to land if I take this jump?
Yeah.
That comes with experience, intelligence. It comes with having taken jumps before.
Yeah. No,
So-
that's amazing. I love this. So you're more immediate. Well, you got a number of projects going on. So we know about the Water Fest in Hawaii. We'll be tuned in. We're gonna go to your website, get on that list so we can get the details when it drops. It may or may not have the family and friends discount. Don't quote us, okay? But you got that. Is your website where we can also find the other program?
You will be able to find it there, yeah. So the program is basically completed, but I'm doing the content differently.
for
It's
that.
a process. There's going to be, by the end of 2023, there should be a whole heck of a lot of change on that. But then there's some other upcoming things that I don't want to put on camera yet, because there's still a lot of stuff that is going on that I can't talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't want to jinx
That's the
either.
best stuff. That's
Yes,
the
that's
best
the
stuff.
best stuff. That's the best stuff.
That's the
for real.
best stuff.
But so in any case, yeah, that over the summer, you'll see a lot of stuff change on there. And maybe in the next couple of days after my conversation last night about what's on there now.
That's good.
Because that was literally just put up there so we had something there.
Yeah.
And to explain why that's all happening now versus
Yeah.
why it didn't happen in the past. Well, that's a story that is a really good one. I have to save that for another day.
Yeah. Listen, save some for later.
Yeah.
That's good. So I
That's
have
for dessert.
three things. So Prestige Screening, we operate as a 24/7 national provider of transportation compliance. We do, clinical lab, collection lab. We have an education division where we help others start their own drug test centers, clinical labs. But we also support, nurses who, they might be a nurse practitioner and maybe they want to go into occupational health, or, they might be a nurse who wants to do, med spa, and they want to add some lab. We're starting to we've worked with chiropractors before, but not as intensely as nurses, so we're going that route as well.
Okay.
So I just wanted to get maybe 3 quick opinions from you. So the first one would be just on the drug testing and physical side of things. What tip would you give our lady truckers? Have you seen any lady truckers in your practice, or is it primarily?
Yeah. Matter of fact, interesting. some of my favorite patients, there's a, can't say names. I would go the other, but a husband and wife couple that are truckers, and
Okay.
they're going all the time, and they're together all the time. They switch off who's driving and stuff.
They do team driving.
And,
Okay.
yeah. No. Anyway, to answer your question, yes, I've seen female truckers and male truckers. When it comes to their profession, what I know is what their ailments wind up being.
Yeah.
So I'm open to learning as much as I can. With what you want to share and helping in whatever way that I can. And I know we talked about these DOT physicals and our practice up here in Dunwoody. I think we need to step up and get that handle so that we can do that
Because I think
as
it's
well.
like everybody is like into content, like, but it's like, all right, can we get some content more than a slow-mo or recap video or, swipe left? Like, where's the real conversation? And so I know, like, with the male truck drivers, and it might be the same with the female too, right? But, of course, there's the diabetes and the high blood pressure, things like that. I just didn't know if there were anything specific to lady truckers that you had seen. In particular,
really, when it comes down to it, you're talking about a pattern in the back. Okay, so where your posture is, we'll see a lot of bent over stuff like this, right? So stress will increase in your lower back, and when that happens, the nerves that come out of your low back, of course, they go to your hips and your knees and your feet, but they also go to your internal organs. So your female organs, your bowel bladder.
Wow.
So you start to see things like incontinence and issues with your period fertility, a whole slew of different things that can happen wrong in this area as a result of pressure here on your back. So basically, if there's pressure on any nerve coming out of the spine going to whatever it's in control of, it can affect how those processes. So yes, we see this.
Y'all see that?
We see this.
And so then also, could you comment like on lab work? Like, I think that we've been conditioned to just, think about lab, like annual labs, like annual wellness, but like, I hated this when I was in technology, when I would have clients be like, we don't know what we don't know. It would drive me crazy. But now I definitely kind of operate in this space. I feel like it is you don't know what you don't know. So like, are there labs that people should be asking for instead of waiting to be told, what lab work they should get?
So when it comes to labs, I always like to look at the structure first, and then I can kind of tell what's going to be wrong on
so
labs.
Based on person by person.
So in essence, like we said earlier, the body's always trying to function at 100%. Structure determines function, and there's a very specific curve angle in your spine because we're all fighting gravity. Your spine's supposed to be like a spring working against gravity, right? It's from bone to bone, disc to disc on your spine. I kind of wish I had a spine to show you here instead of doing this, right? But
next time we got you.
But so basically, if you don't have that nice spring and you're not aligned from front to back the way that you're supposed to be, or rather from side to side, then the bones will line up straight and come down and compress onto an area that has to take more stress, and this degenerates you faster and causes nerve pressure. And I can see that in people walking around. I can see if there's a rotation, that's going to cause pressure, and then also from the other direction. And so it's really easy with enough experience to be able to predict what this person's future is going to look like unless they make a change. So when it comes to lab work, I know that's what you asked about. I usually look at it to know, okay, how far along is this person in the disease process? And also I want to know what were they doing when the lab work was taken, what was going on in that time period, because we aren't our lab work. That stuff can change really fast. I can remove pressure from someone's nerve and change their lab work like that, change their function like that. So yeah, the process of analysis starts with what's moving properly, how is that alignment looking.
Yeah.
If we take x-rays, of course, to see what sort of degenerative changes might be happening in a person. We're all supposed to live to, genetically speaking, 120 at minimum, basically, without sickness and disease, okay? If you're
Wow.
having sickness and disease, there's a problem. So there's an interference to
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
potential, that path. So what we have to do is flip upside down and not look at the problem, but look at what could be causing the problem
Yeah.
to release that potential back into your
Listen, I
frame.
want to live right. You got me wanting to flip my whole life around. Okay, so one last question along those lines is, so with our national network, we need drug test centers, we need clinical labs, we need OC Health, we need, because one of the things that we truthfully wanted to do, we wanted the transportation. It's not all about the truckers. We love the truckers, but we know for DOT compliance, that's airlines, that's railroads, that's pipeline and hazardous, that is the Coast Guard, that's the trains. There are other agencies, other than the FMCSA, but shout out to the FMCSA because they are the largest. But we really just wanted to have service providers available and comprehensive service because the way that people want to be served has changed. It used to be the doctor came to you with the doctor bag back in the day, and then we started going to, all of these, in-network, facilities. And now we're kind of back to the doctor coming to us, but like plush, like concierge, like, we all bougie, we all,
Yeah.
high maintenance and soft life. And
Well, there's a lot of virtual doctoring going on.
yeah, excuse me. Yeah, and that too. Um, so that's why we coach and consult and educate, on those matters, is to put more service providers in a universe. Meanwhile, so we want to close economic disparities. We want to close, healthcare disparities. We want to do all of those types of things. What advice would you give someone looking to get into healthcare entrepreneurship?
Well, I would say, first off, make sure that that's what you want to do. I mean, at what point are they already through school? Are they looking at going to school? Really, honestly, that comes back to what their truth is. Is it something that you want to do for money? Is it something that you enjoy? Do you like serving people? As far as being an entrepreneur, you want to be aligned with what your passion is and who you are.
You do.
And how, for me, going in to see patients and adjust them is a privilege and a pleasure, I'm getting emotional because I'm happy and blessed in the fact that I get to do what I want to do at this point. But in any case, I would say definitely make sure that you're passionate about that. There's a book I read recently called Living Fearless by Jamie Winship, and it's basically like a pathway to kind of finding your identity. I would say before you were to go down that path, make sure that it's the path that you want to go down. What who you are and what your reasons are for that.
Yeah.
I say
so check in with you first. And I think that's so major because when people ask about starting a drug test center, clinical lab, they ask legit, valid questions like, hey, what's the market like? What's the revenue potential? And I encourage people to have a why because I always say the why is what's going to keep you going, right? Nobody, listen, only the good Lord above can make me stop doing what I'm doing because I believe this is my purpose. My son is my why, and then when God says sit down, that's absolutely what I'm going to do. But people aren't really saying what you just said, right? Which is really go deep. Figure out who you are, figure out if this is in alignment with, who you are, who you should be, and do something that you get choked up about,
it's like going big and making a lot of money, entrepreneurship, all this is not for everybody. A lot of people are just super happy
to just serve.
Just working this, that, or the other, and within those realms too, make sure that you are where you should be by getting to know who you are, what you like, and stick within that lane basically. But me, I like a lot of things.
Yeah, you've had a lot of
Through
experiences. Yeah.
a lot of different stuff, and it's fun to be able to tie all these different experiences together. But for specifically the healthcare field, it's really almost a touchy situation, because when you get into it, the depths of it, like any business, there's or what's the word I'm looking for? So I'm having a mind blank on the specific word I'm looking for, but any big organization, you're going to have things going on, rules, regulations, stuff that you might not agree with, that are
Yeah, you're gonna be governed by
problematic, that you're going
there's
to be
some
governed
authority.
by,
Yeah.
all this different stuff that my journey of trying to find the truth is something that I want to share. And so, like, if you're interested to just see, well, what does this guy have to say, I'm going to say it all
Yeah. Yeah.
there. But again, when like my little sister's a PA,
Is she?
my older sister's a nurse, and
Nice.
I have to hear their
Everything.
complaints about, I can't believe we have to do this and that, and yada yada. And a lot of the healthcare field is that way.
Yeah.
You don't have the rights necessarily to treat a patient how you think they should be treated, because you have to stick within the confines, or you can lose your license, go to jail, so on and so forth. And initially, for years actually, I had my game plan was sort of to work to change legislation
Yeah.
with regards to that, to provide more medical freedoms for providers. And I had a nonprofit setup called The Cure, and it was a big, long game plan and whatnot. But what I found politically is that it's too big of a beast we'll have to talk about that privately later.
Okay.
But so yeah, no, that's a lot of my time is spent in that space of well, which area is the truth? Which umbrella should I go through? Which path should I go down? That area. So these are questions everybody has to find for themselves, but there are some questions that I can answer. People reach out to me.
Yeah, so y'all make sure y'all reach out to Dr. Michael. We want to do something special for you before you get out of here. One journey I am on is learning how to support men that are close to me and just in the community as a whole. It's just something that it's been a takeaway from my son's murder. I mean, it is a little far-fetched from it, but there's a reason. Mm-hmm. So it's Father's Day. We know that you're a dad.
Very sorry about that, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But it's part of my mission is, I'll see him on the other side, but until then, I just run as hard as I can run. Mm-hmm. So to get there, I want to do what I'm supposed to do so I can get there. That's how I look at it. But it's Father's Day, and I want to acknowledge you for being a dad. I want to acknowledge you for being, a leader, a male leader, being a healthcare leader, being a social leader. We just met. We literally just met at HACP. God allowed us to, be seated at the same table, mm-hmm. and I just appreciate you being a man of your word. You didn't know me from a can of paint. You didn't have to text me back. You didn't have to give me your phone number. So I just want to say thank you. God bless you for everything that you're doing. May He continue to direct your path, and give you all the support that you need to get where He wants done. And so Miss Jackson has something for you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I do appreciate this a lot. I know just where these flowers are going to go.
Okay, good deal. And Ms. Jackson, can you bring one more thing?
It was such a pleasure to meet you over there. It's been such a pleasure to be here to talk with you and get to know you a little bit better. And I really enjoyed that dinner.
It was fun. Ms. Jackson, can you bring the phone?
This experience over here.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great dinner. Looking forward to HHCP's event next year. So one of the things, Dr. Mike, I was hoping you could leave the folks with is, let me find your message, which is here. We were chatting about questions, and what we said was that about the success journey being never ending.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, could you share some parting words? Because we started this podcast talking about you only live once, so live, right? You
Mm-hmm.
get one life, live it. But the success journey is never ending. So, can you give my rich friends some parting words? Because you have helped us. You have helped open our eyes and ears and broaden our awareness on how we can do that
Mm-hmm.
healthy.
Yeah.
But along the way, it's gonna get tough. So, can you get them some encouragement?
Okay. Well, first off, what is success? Because it's
Okay.
different for everybody. And so when I look at somebody and I judge whether they're successful or not, I'm not thinking about how much money they make or like what if they've got a whole bunch of family under them and they've created a generation or whatever it is. It's simply, is this person uh, enjoying in a positive, healthy way their life? It's not my job to judge anybody.
Right.
But be okay with that and have fun with it. We're supposed to have fun with life in this creation and this time that we have here. So the success journey, if my version of success, what I would think of as success is that someone enjoying fulfilling their purpose. And that makes it fun and interesting. And it makes you want to keep going and doing it like you talked about earlier. And so there it is right there. I mean, the success journey is never ending. You should be having fun doing with like what you want to do. And that for me is enough to want me to take care of myself so that I'm enjoying like moving forward balls.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I like to accomplish things and have a competitive spirit and stuff, but I, I enjoy it all.
You
I'm
enjoy
enjoying this
every.
moment right now.
Yay! Okay.
So,
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So, rich friends, Dr. Michael Pendergrass, please tell them where they can find you.
drmichael.health is going to be the number one spot to go. Or actually, if you just go to Instagram at drmichael.health, there you can hit me up there. So,
All right. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers.